You ever hear about a game you're not supposed to play? Not because it's illegal, but because no one can agree on what really happens when you do. Some call it an internet myth. Others swear it's real. Either way, the game in question has been quietly circulating online for years, spreading like digital folklore, gaining momentum in forums, message boards, and late-night conversations. Is it just a modern urban legend, or a psychological experiment in fear? Or is it something more? This is the story of the elevator game. Welcome to the Glimp. It starts with curiosity, like most of these things do. You're sitting in the dead of night, scrolling mindlessly through Reddit, or watching one too many conspiracy videos on YouTube. The kind that promises to unravel the deepest, darkest mysteries. I came across this one night, and the deeper I dug, the weirder it got. At first, I thought it was just another creepypasta. But then I found what I am about to tell you. That's the thing about these kinds of stories, they pull you in slowly. What starts as boredom, eventually becomes an obsession. Life starts to feel off, like you're stuck in a loop. A routine that feels like a cage with invisible bars. And then, there it is. A thread. A ritual. With a set of instructions. At first, it seems so harmless. But there's something about it that keeps you thinking. The rules are simple, too simple, almost. They feel like they were meant to be followed exactly, down to the tiniest detail. Someone, or something, seems to want it done just right. Psychologists have long studied how rituals, especially those with strict, repetitive instructions, can heighten focus, induce trance-like states, and even create a sense of altered reality. When you're inside the elevator, alone, in silence, counting the floors, the world already starts to shift. It's not just what the game does to reality. It's what it does to your mind. The elevator game gained attention in South Korea, but it didn't stop there. By the early 2010s, it had spread across borders all the way to Japan, the Philippines, and even countries in the West. Wherever it went, the game remained the same, and the promise it offered was just as chilling: follow the rules, and you will reach another world. What kind of world? No one knows for sure. Some say it's a shadow of our own, an empty place, trapped in a time loop. Others believe it's something darker. They believe that it's a world beneath ours, a place that's been abandoned by time and light. It's a world that shouldn't be. But one that exists somewhere. To enter it, you need only two things: a building with at least 10 floors, and an elevator. You must be alone. No one else can be with you. Then, you follow the steps, simple, repetitive, and mechanical. Press the button for the 4th floor. Then the 2nd. Next, the 6th. Back to the 2nd. Then the 10th. And finally, the 5th floor. This is where the game is supposed to change. At this point, things take a terrifying turn. Because when you reach the 5th floor, it is said that the following will happen. The elevator stops, and the doors open. A woman enters, and she won't look at you. She won't say a word or even acknowledge your presence. And she is not human. She may look like a person, but her eyes are empty and hollow. Dead. And if you make the mistake of looking at her, if you dare to acknowledge her existence, she will take you. But the rules are clear: don't react, don't speak, and don't look at her. You must stay silent, as if she's not even there. And if you just follow these rules, the elevator is said to rise. Once it has risen, and when the doors open again, it is said that you will no longer be in your world. The place you now enter will feel wrong. Familiar, but twisted. At first, it may look like your own city, your own building. But then you'll realize something is off. The sky is dark, with an unnatural shade of red, and there's an overwhelming sense of emptiness. The buildings seem abandoned, but they're not quite empty. There's just no one around. There's no sound at all, not even the usual hum of traffic or distant voices. The air is thick and it presses down on you like a weight. Some people who ventured into this world say they've seen strange shadows flickering just beyond their sight. Others hear strange sounds, humming, soft and faint, as though someone, or something, is just waiting for you to look. But when you turn, there's nothing there. You can't call for help, your phone doesn't work. None of your technology will respond. All you have is the elevator. The same elevator you used to enter this world. To escape, you must retrace your steps. Go back through the same sequence of buttons, but in reverse. Mess up, and you risk being trapped. Or maybe even worse, you will be followed. Now, the consequences seem clear, you must do everything perfectly. But there's a darker layer to this story. There are those who have returned from this world. But they were never the same. They felt like something followed them back. One of the first stories to spread on the internet was posted on a Korean blog in 2010. The author, a young woman, recounted how she played the game as a dare. She thought it was a joke. She pressed the buttons, the 4th, 2nd, 6th, 2nd, 10th, and then the 5th. At first, nothing happened. The elevator moved normally, floors passing by. She thought it was a prank. But then, at the 5th floor, the elevator stopped and the doors opened. And according to her, indeed a woman stepped in. She didn't look at her. She didn't speak. She just stood there, with her gaze vacant and empty. The girl said she felt an intense urge to scream, to run. But she remembered the rules: don't react. Don't look. The elevator began to rise. When the doors opened again, it was dark. Darker than night. The buildings were there, but they felt different. Twisted, abandoned, and empty. The girl made it back safe, but afterwards, she said she could never sleep. Her lights flickered constantly. Her reflection in mirrors didn't always match her movements. And sometimes, when she answered the door, there was no one there. The story of this girl is not unique. Over the years, countless people have claimed to play the game. They write about it in forums, and post messages on the internet and social media. But many of these people online seem to vanish. They stop posting and interacting. And some that do return, they seem changed. The most infamous case is the case of Elisa Lam. Elisa, a 21-year-old Canadian student, was found dead in the rooftop water tank of the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles in 2013. Before her death, security footage showed Elisa in an elevator. She pressed buttons in a rapid, erratic manner. She hid in the corner of the elevator, peeking out as though something was after her. Then, she vanished. And around 1 week later, she was found dead, in the water tank on top of the building. Some claim Elisa was playing the elevator game. Others believe she saw something she shouldn't have. But whatever the truth, her disappearance, and the strange footage, still haunts people. What if the Cecil Hotel is connected to the game? What if this doorway existed right there, in the heart of the hotel? The building, known for its dark and tragic history, may have more secrets buried in its walls than anyone realizes. A liminal space, perhaps, where the line between our world and another world blurs. Places like this exist: abandoned hotels, old tunnels, forgotten underground cities. These liminal spaces are not just physical, they resonate in ways we can't explain. They hold an energy that distorts time, space, and perception. They make us feel like we don't belong. And in these places, reality itself seems very fragile. Researchers in psychogeography and environmental psychology have found that certain spaces, like subway stations, abandoned hotels, or for instance high-rise buildings, trigger a sense of unease. It's called the liminal effect. Liminal spaces feel unsettling because they exist between definitions. They're not places you stay, they're places you pass through. And looking at it like this, elevators are the ultimate liminal space. Neither here nor there. Always moving, and always waiting. A 2017 study by the University of Derby noted that liminal spaces evoke a disconnection from time and identity. Participants described feeling like they were being watched or displaced from reality. No spirits or ghosts. Just the human brain unraveling in unfamiliar territory. This is the key to the elevator game. It's not just a set of instructions, it's a threshold. A passageway that connects worlds, a door between the familiar and the unrecognizable. Perhaps that's why the stories of those who played the game feel so haunting. They don't tell their stories with excitement. They tell them with regret. As though they've felt something they were never meant to see. As though they've brought something back. Why people play these kind of games is still a big question mark. Why follow these strange, ominous instructions, if you already know what can happen? Maybe it's boredom, maybe it's curiosity. Maybe, deep down, people want to believe. In a world that often feels dull and explainable, we often crave something more, something that defies reason. Urban legends like the elevator game offer a way to flirt with the impossible, to touch the veil between this world and whatever lies beyond it. There's a term for this, legend tripping. It's when people deliberately seek out eerie locations, haunted rituals, or mysterious phenomena, not to prove or disprove them, but to feel something. And sometimes, just sometimes, they get more than they bargained for. Now, there's one part of the elevator game that's never written in the instructions. A silent rule. But perhaps the most important one. You're not supposed to talk about it once you've done it. Not online, not to friends, and not to family. And maybe that's why the stories always feel fractured. This is maybe why every account cuts off, just before the end. Because the ones who know, they don't speak.